And it's my first kitchen video. What I got here is a Boston butt. It's a beautiful piece of meat. It's pork. It's got nothing whatsoever to do with a pig's butt. Back in the late 17th century, meat packers around Boston started standardizing their cuts. You can see how clean this is. Very little shred. Nice and tight. Anyway, they took the shoulder and they packed this section of it, a wooden crate. They packed it in salt back then so it would last and it would cure on the way to wherever the hell they were taking it. But that's where Boston butt comes from. It's shoulder. And what we're going to do is take this beastie apart. You got a big bone right in here. This is called the H bone. Looks like a bent T. It's flat on one side, on the other side it's all, oh geez. Let's take it apart and let's see. Now I got two knives here. There's nothing special about them. Walmart knives. They're dull as, Jesus, they're dull. Okay, we're just going to get in here, because you can do this with pretty much anything you like. I'm just following the bone, and if I shred it, it's not going to hurt much. Don't cut your fingers when you do this. I'll feel real bad. I'm just following that bone. It's a shoulder blade. There you go. You can tell when it ends, and you got a lot of ligaments right in here, and we're going to trim those off a little bit later. But we're just following that bone. It'll let you know right where it wants to be. There you go. Let me kick that camera in again. There you go. Right across this edge. See the edge of the bone. Now, if it's important to you, you can be real tight right close to that bone so you get every last bit. But let's face it, the best use for that bone is to throw it in your beans. That little bit of meat on there ain't gonna hurt a darn thing. Probably make your beans even better. Okay, here's a stiff section right in here. See how I keep my fingers out of the way of that knife. I got a bone in between. Okay, here's where it's turning up, so I'll turn my knife up. There we go. Now here, we got some inside of the bone. I'll just get in there. There we go. It ain't got to be perfect. As long as you don't cut your hand off, I'll be happy. I'm going to follow that bone and take it right out. Now I'm going to trim up some of these pieces for stir fry. So small is just fine with me. Yeah, we come to the other end of it. We're almost done with this piece. Right in here. And take it right off. And that is your bone. You can see it's kind of like a letter T. Of course, totally unbalanced. Now, if you need to, you can go in here and take off some of these bits of meat in here. This is really good stuff for stir fry. But you won't want to get these stiffer sections of cartilage. You usually find those at the points. Throw that in the freezer. I'll throw it in some beans or something later. Now I got this piece of meat. Top's good, but when we take a look at the bottom, I've got this giant gap over here where that meat where the bone used to be. Okay, I'm going to switch knives. See right here, I'm just going to take and cut that straight down. That's going to make it easier on me. Okay, so now I've got the big side right there. Over here I got this piece that's just frigged up, baby. What the hell are you going to do with that? You're not going to get roast out of there. And you could, I suppose. You tie it up. This I can do a lot with. Over here, well, we'll get to it a bit. Let's look at that big piece first. On the top of this I got a big layer of fat. Now if you can see here, it's fat, meat, and fat again. This is really good stuff. throw that in your beans. Okay, I want to take that fat cap off of there. I use a finer knife on this. Okay, pinch it, pull as you go. If you can keep a hold of it. There we go. That meat will let you peel it. It'll peel itself just about. Just follow that line. I'm putting the tip right where the meat and the fat come together. And keep following that down until the whole thing comes right off. And we can go a little more in here. There we go. And just keep following that line. And that's it. And it's fatty as hell. I'll cut it anywhere. There's some meat in there, not a whole lot. Most of this is fat. You can render this. I'm going to take the fatty pieces, set it aside. I've got a section over here I could get. Let me knock this camera back where it was. There we go. Peel that right off. There we go. Now again, it's mostly a solid piece of beef, or excuse me, pork. As you can see, I got just a little cap here. I'm going to take that off just to keep it neat. Okay, here's another one here. These are all muscles and the way they come together. Now you don't have to take these off, but I do so it comes out nice and tight. Okay, we'll mostly clean to the fat. A little bit here ain't gonna hurt a thing. And some small bits up top. Okay, what butchers are gonna do, they'll take the bone out and tie the whole thing up as a big fat roast, right? Gives it a nice neat appearance. It leaves a fat cap on there, but I don't need that for what I'm doing. Let's cut that right down the middle here. Now I've got this piece here, which is probably about 3.5 pounds. This is a beautiful roast. Fits in a meatloaf pan, a bread pan. Oh, what size are those? 9 by 13 or something like that. Good size for say 3 to 4 to maybe 5 people. I smother with garlic. I'll roast it and then I'll slice it real thin. After it's roasted and sliced, it makes a beautiful sandwich. Okay. This piece over here, alright, it's kind of a triangular shape, but it fattens right out. I can get some medallions out of here. Now these are the same as pork shoulder. It's boneless pork shoulder, effectively. Okay. Has my stomach grumbling because I know how good this is. Let me see, once I've removed that cap, that's fairly lean. But as I get into this, it gets thinner and thinner. Okay, I'm at a point where there's not much I can do for steaks or medallions here. This, I can chop it into stir fry, I can chop it into small pieces, just about anything you can use it for. Pull that bit off. Again, I've got a piece of fatty tissue here, a little bit of meat, not much to write home about. In this piece, I'm just going to take out the stiff cartilage here. Got some bits of the bone. I'm going to get under it, pull. See how I'm pulling away from my hand? Don't get your hand in the way of your knife. There you go. This is waste. There's not much you can do with this little bit. Silver skin. Little section of bone in there. That's waste. Okay, this is good. That's stir fry. Another piece of fat here. Throw that in the fat pile. Okay, this piece, I'm going to pack that up as it is. I can throw that in the oven for a small roast. Just have at it with a knife and fork.